Hi, I'm Dr. Mollie Marti, and welcome back to Resiliency Matters. We are visiting with Dr. Lauren Augustine and Linda Langston about resiliency, the national level, the local level, the interplay between both. And it is such a timely topic as we are rolling off a couple days of you being here, your team being here from the National Academy of Science, and spending time in Linn County. And so let's talk more about this collaboration and this interplay. What does this look like?
Well, from the national level in Washington, we work with a lot of the federal agencies and a lot of the national organizations. And the chorus we hear is we really need to be able to work at the local level. And there are barriers in some cases for the federal agencies or the national organizations to get to the local level. And so for our Resilient America Roundtable, we really provide this neutral forum to allow all of these multiple stakeholders to come in with resources and ideas and operational abilities to get the federal kind of scaffolding and structure down to the community level and the bottom up from the community level back up.
And resilience is a hot word these days. I know when we started our work 3.5 years ago, it's a community resiliency project. And I remember thinking and then saying to a few people aren't really talking about this, but I think in 5 years, everybody's going to be talking about this. And it didn't take 5 years.
No, it didn't.
A few years later, it is buzzing. So what organizations and agencies, in your experience, are interested in this topic and in contributing to resilience building?
Well, we know there are a number of businesses, very large businesses. We have in a couple of arenas. I am working with Walmart. I know UPS Foundation is in with us. We have a lot of the very large planning companies like Dewberry, a lot of the big people who are responsible for the electric grid. A lot of folks who are very interested in IT and cybersecurity. But we also have different federal agencies.
Absolutely. So we have the private sector, and we have a lot of community organizations, United Way, American Red Cross, Points of Light, Boys and Girls Club, etc. And then you have the public sector, and this is where it really comes in. And we're so happy to be working with Linn County and with Linda and the leadership at Cedar Rapids city level, because the public sector plays a big role, right? And whether it's about protection of lives, property, safety, or if it's about making sure resources are available, public sector has a big role.
And I think that one of the things that's really huge, and you mentioned this before, Mollie, and that is the economics of it. We know that there are more physical disasters that are happening in our nation. We know that statistically, just looking at FEMA statistics since 1953, which anyone could find on the web. So that economic reality really begins to shift the responsibility where everyone understands this is an issue. So resilience has become a buzzword. It's become a buzzword because there are things that are happening that we have to do the response, the adapt, the mitigate, the plan. So all of those things have become ever more important for everyone.
And when Linda talks about the economics of these events, sometimes the events themselves are not spectacular, but they happen in places where there's a high population, or there's a elderly population, or a particularly vulnerable population. So you look at years like 2011, and there were 14 single incidents in this country alone that cost more than $1 billion each, right? So when you start to take these events that used to not be $1 billion, now they're $1 billion, there's a real impetus to say, wait a second, can we reduce the losses? Can we reduce the property losses, loss of life?
So there's certainly some shared interests in economic stability and the health and well-being and hope and engagement and those things that these agencies and organizations agree upon. They also are very different agencies and organizations. What's your experience in getting everyone to play nice? How do we get them to work together and play together?
Well, one of the things that we're really noticing in our neutral convening space is that everyone has something to offer. Everyone has something valuable to contribute. So you look at some of the science-oriented agencies, USGS, NOAA, and they have information. They have data. They have surveillance. They have information. And then you look at some of the other agencies that are operational, FEMA, DHS, Department of Justice, Department of Energy, and they need information. So you can cobble together a nice coalition of the willing.
And I think that's true at the local level as well. We all have different aspects and responsibilities within the community, but again, what drives us, and I think it's really true here in Cedar Rapids and Lynn County, is that we've been down this road before. So we know the challenges that are there. And so our goal is to not lose sight of that going forward. We don't know what the next disaster will look like, but we are really making the effort to work together.
A process of playing to our strengths and collaboration.
Absolutely.
I love it. So here is our wrap up on segment 3. Community resilience is a shared responsibility among citizens, the private sector, and government. It is everybody's business to work toward a safer, healthier, more secure, and more prosperous nation. I want to give one more takeaway. We've been talking about the pilot program. Resilient America is working in communities across the nation. Lynn County, Iowa, very proud to be the first pilot project. You can visit resilientamerica.nas.edu to learn more about our work in communities and how your community can participate. This is Dr. Mollie Marti with Resiliency Matters. Thank you for joining us on MediaCom NC22, your local programming leader.